Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Let's Talk Automotive episode 37. And in tonight's show, we have the latest news.
And then we're going to show you a review of the fantastic Mahindra S6 bakkie.
It was. Our guest tonight is Brendon Carpenter and MacDonald from Suzuki SA, and we are going to talk about the new Vitara Brezza.
Which obviously means that game time is going to be another hammering for me.
It's going to be a mess. I'm sorry, Pete. In How Things Work tonight, we speak about wings and drag and everything aerodynamics.
And then we're going to end off with my best part of the evening, Tappet of the Week.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Let's Talk Automotive. Well, Peter, it's been a very busy week again. Like we said, we had the Mahindra S6 for a review this week, and we were pleasantly surprised. Well, I was pleasantly surprised.
Too, no doubt.
And a busy week for us all, work-wise, etc., etc.
It's been a goodie. But I've got a question for you.
Talk to me.
You got 25,000 Rand in your back pocket.
Yes.
And you go into a dealership. What can you buy with that 25,000 Rand?
Sure. A gearbox?
No. But I tell you what you can buy. Amazingly enough, you can buy a V8 engine.
Yeah.
Not a franchise dealership, but a brand new V8 engine. Or you can get your clutch and dual NAST flywheel replaced.
All right, so we can either buy an engine or we can buy a clutch.
Yeah.
That is basically
Yeah,
what
I
you're saying, for the
honestly
same
need
price.
somebody to explain that to me, because I mean, look at the difference in complexity between the two.
Yeah,
It is astounding.
that
So
is
anyway,
astounding.
Vish and myself have recently had similar experiences on two totally different vehicles, so I'm tarnishing the whole industry with this brush, and I need answers.
All right. So I think for you guys at home joining us tonight, please remember that this is an interactive show, and you guys can be part of the show. You can ask questions. You can give us your comments, whatever you like. So, yeah, thinking about talking to Brendon and Megan later with regards to the Vitara Brezza. If you have questions about that new model, if you have questions for Professor Peter on aerodynamics, you can ask him and try and stump him. I've tried, but I can't. All right, so I think, well, the producers got a question for Peter. Let me hear. Yes. Very,
Oh, that's a great question.
So let me convey his question. If we had to buy a car, a complete car from the parts department in a dealership, how much would that
Okay,
cost?
so they have done this calculation before, by the way,
Yeah.
and the last survey that was done, and it was a few years back, but it would cost you 20 times what the retail
20
price.
times what the retail price of the vehicle would be.
Yeah, so good luck.
Okay, and on that bombshell, let's get into this week's news. All right, so very interesting story that broke yesterday, and this got me very excited when I saw the headline. And just look at this headline quickly. Tesla is coming to South Africa. The first Tesla Model X will arrive in South Africa next week. But
Yeah, there's
Wait,
always a but with
there's
you,
more.
Fanie.
all right, so this vehicle is being brought in by Rubicon.
Yeah, so Greg Blanford, who's the CEO of Rubicon Energy and E-Mobility, the
Yes.
people that are also going to bring out all the charging stations, or a lot of the charging stations for the current
They're
electric
moving into
vehicles.
that market now.
I think they're bringing this out as a marketing exercise, because they also are promoting the Tesla Powerwall.
Yeah.
So it's not that Tesla's launching in South Africa. I can't wait for
Yes.
that to happen, by the
No,
way.
me neither.
I don't know what's wrong with Elon Musk. Somebody must have really upset him in South Africa for him not to come. But yeah, so I'm dying to see this in the flesh, I've got to say.
Agreed. And speaking about that, we reached out to Greg today, and we've asked him that, when the car is here, let's get it on Let's Talk Automotive and actually show the people that car. That must be amazing.
I think that would be a fantastic scoop to do a review
Agree.
on the Tesla. Yeah.
Agree. All right, moving on to the next story. Now, just look at that. It's beautiful. It's
They
actually a
used that to
flippin-
take the astronauts to the Falcon rockets as well when they
Yeah.
took the first private astronauts up to the space station.
Yes.
So yeah.
Amazing. Right, second story is that a good old favorite in South Africa, the Nissan MP300, is being discontinued.
Yeah, so production comes to an end in November 2021. And, you know, it's a vehicle that's actually been around for 25 years, believe it or not, Fanie.
I actually couldn't believe it when we did the actual research on this. So this goes hand in hand with the fact that Nissan has decided to come and manufacture the new Nissan Navara here in South Africa locally.
Yeah, so I suppose they only had a certain number of production lines that they could choose from, and the NP3 had to be culled because they're still going to continue with the very popular NP200.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know, is it bittersweet?
Well, you know what? It was one of the first double cab bakkies on the market, and I have fond memories of it. But you know, later in its life, it had a very bad reputation for safety.
Yeah, look, I mean, the safety issue is always something that I have a bit of a chuckle about in South Africa, because I don't want to hear any South African mention safety features while we still continue to be the fastest drivers in the world. If you're genuinely concerned about safety, slow down.
Yeah,
that's your best safety
and
feature.
Stop tailgating.
Stop tailgating. Stop undertaking. Have some manners on the road. You know.
Okay, so I think what we should do is have a little bit of a 5-second moment of silence for the hard body. It was part of our lives for 25 years, so let's just do... Okay, that was enough.
That's enough.
All right, let's move on to the last story. This also came through yesterday. Simola Hill Climb, one of our favorite events on the motorsport calendar, unfortunately has been postponed again until September the 2nd to the 5th of September. Again, COVID striking and moving up this wonderful event.
So, you know, unfortunately, we are still, I think, in a very serious predicament when it comes to our situation with the second wave. So although we're seeing serious declines, you know, I think any super spreader events will up that curve again. But yeah, we just wonder if the vaccines are going to help this and sort this out eventually and get this over and done with. So, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's still happening. It's still going to happen this year. So, delayed gratification. I think maybe
good things come to those who wait.
Absolutely. And for those of you that need to save up to get down to Knysna, well, you've been given an extension.
Okay, we've got a question coming here from Chantal. Chantal says, do you perhaps have stats of electric vehicles sold in South Africa? It will be interesting to see how many of our South African clients would be interested in electric vehicles, more especially Tesla. And we had,
I think, rightly, that's a good question. The numbers are low, but all these kind of questions are going to be answered in the e-mobility conference that we featured last week in the show. So I would encourage you to go and have a look at last week's episode and go and have a look for those links, and all those kind of questions are going to be answered for you.
So Chantal, I think it was on the 2nd of March, Pete, if I'm not mistaken.
I think there's
1 and 2 March is that online conference. Where all those questions will be answered. And remember that it's free, and we will also be sharing that link and also the actual conference on Let's Talk Automotive. So keep a lookout for
and
that.
Also don't worry if you miss it between the 1st and 2nd of March,
because it will be available.
It'll be available. Those videos will be available at
Absolutely. All right. That was awesome. Thanks, Chantal, for watching. I think let's move on to the next segment, Pete, and this is this week's review. And this week's review is proudly brought to you by King Price Insurance.
Now everyone's saying it. If you drive less, you pay less for car insurance. But how much less? A tad less. A smidge less. Around 20%-ish less? Or a whole lot less? Like 70% less for comprehensive car insurance from South Africa's hottest pay-per-K insurer, Chili from King Price. We're big into less. Like 70% less. Visit kingprice.co.za for a quote.
Hi and welcome everybody to Let's Talk Automotive. I'm Vish.
And I'm Peter, and we are here at BB Menlyn Mahindra.
Well done,
For
Peter.
the review of the S6.
4x4 manual. There was a bit of confusion between the single cab, double cab, so errors or omissions excluded, please, on the pricing that we may mention, but
So-
we do know.
So the single cab 4x4 starts at 361. Sorry, at 3.
You see,
here we go.
you also got it.
At 320, right about there.
Yes.
And the double cab that we're going to be reviewing now is 361,500.
Correct. Well, 361,499. Let's make it an Indian price. It's an Indian brand.
Okay, so Vish, we're going to start off at the engine bay, and I'm going to open the bonnet quickly and show you something.
Pop the hood, darling.
Okay, now look at this.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, I love that. That makes it
Hydraulics.
so much easier. But have you noticed something else? And that is when we pop the hood, the hazards came on automatically.
Which is quite clever, considering if you're in an emergency, actually it helps.
People forget.
Definitely.
So Vish, this is a basic S6 model, which means that there are a lot of optional extras. Maybe you want to just take us through some of them?
Yeah, I think an important one, of course, are the rims.
Yep.
Alloy rims. These rock sliders are standard. We've got the flared arch fender, which is also an option. A thicker roll bar, rubberizing, and a tow bar.
All right. So those are the optional extras. I want to show you something cool though when it comes to the fuel lid. So to open it, you just press the unlock button on the key fob. Boom.
Ah, that's pretty nifty. At least it'll keep you occupied on Sunday afternoons.
Okay, so Vish, you're quite a tall lad with long legs, but you seem to be sitting quite comfortably in the cabin.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I've got a good field of view. It's a solid fit. I think I could drive this for a decent amount of time with not much discomfort. The bolstering and stuff is soft and compliant. We've got quite a few features on the inside, which is, you know, above average for this level of car. We've got cruise control, we've got a start-stop option, we've got adjustable lights, we've got electric wing mirrors, we've got a USB access port, RCA jack, 12-volt charger, and we've got Bluetooth. So generally we've got the majority of what one would need.
Great.
It's also electronically controlled 4 high, 4 low, and 2 high functionalities.
Okay, so that's the front of the cabin. Let's have a look at the passenger compartment at the rear.
With me driving, so
So you've set it for your driving position. What do you think about the rear space?
it looks small.
It does initially look small, but I've got to say that what we haven't factored in is just how long this bench is. So looks can be deceiving. I'm going to hop in here and take the opportunity to sit here, and actually there's plenty of space and a lot of headroom at the rear, which is unusual. In fact, there's so much headroom at the rear that this is where they've fitted the speakers.
Peter, welcome to our economy class 4x4 trail today. Thank you for joining me, although I actually didn't want to come for this. I was like, oh goodness, one of this wannabe 4x4s. Okay,
Yeah, I
smiling.
must admit when Fanie phoned us and said, listen, we've got the Mahindra for review, I was already starting to make excuses as to why,
It was like
why I
Saturday
couldn't come
morning.
Saturday, you know, I got to take the kids somewhere.
Can't get up, one of those things. But I must say, first impressions, we're here.
Wow.
It's not as bad as I thought.
In fact, it's better than that. You know, I think there's really much more than meets the eye with this. So I've got a reference point, you've got a reference point. I drive a entry-level Chinese bakkie, you drive a not so much entry-level American bakkie. So there's the two ends of the scale. So I think it'll be quite an interesting discussion to have with you. But I can tell you immediately, just to some of the things that have already struck me is, first of all, this feels nice and big and solid. The steering wheel feels fantastic. It's nice and quiet.
Yes, it
It's
is actually
comfortable,
quiet.
actually. It's a very comfortable
Yeah,
vehicle.
and I've got to go take my accountant's hat here and go, there's not much you could get that could offer this. So do you sit at a point where a farmer's going to go, whoa, I don't know what my crops are doing, I don't know what the rain's going to be like, I can't afford a more expensive bakkie, I take a chance on this? A lot of these brands, like Haval, when we reviewed it, it impressed us because it had so much more versus what we had thought it would have. Coming back to this, there's a ruggedness to this that actually feels 4x4.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll probably get a fleet vehicle at some stage. I'd like to actually take one off-road. And you know, we've got a good test plan where we take a high-end bakkie plus 2 4x4s in this range and we put them against each other.
Yep.
But your impressions from your side, because I'm trying to come off the, you know, I had one of the Hiluxes as a long-termer over
Yes.
December and I got absolutely attached to it.
But at what price?
Well, what they've done, but that's a discussion I think for another time. with coming back to the Mahindra, this engine is 103 kilowatt, 2.2 turbo diesel, 350 newton meters of torque. It's got a towing capacity of a tad over 2 tons. So it ticks all the theoretical boxes. How do you feel about just its general drivability?
It feels great. I mean, we quite easily got up to 120, which is the kind of speed that I drive a bakkie around at in any case. And it held it well, felt nice and strong. You can feel the torque coming through,
Yes.
There's no doubt about that.
So Peter, here now, okay, so I'm in the driver's seat. It's good to know that I can still drive manual at some point in time. It's smooth, easy, clutch is light. That's impressive. I just find immediately that it's a hard ride, and just on normal roads.
So that's comparing to your bakkie.
No. I'm comparing general. Remember, I went from Hilux to Ford to there's a few.
Okay.
So just as a even looking at the Jeep Wrangler,
Okay.
our favorite sound system vehicle.
So I don't know. I hear what you're saying. I don't know if it's rough or sturdy, you know, because if I look at my bakkie that I'm driving, that you feel every bump. This feels nice and it just feels solid.
Okay, but I think perhaps maybe there's a discussion, or at some point we need to, when we take one of these off-road, because then you'd actually see whether the rigidity is a byproduct of its off-road capability, or it's just not a good suspension package for road. It's built for off-road use primarily.
And maybe not only looking at it from an off-road point of view, but from a utility point of view.
Yes.
This bakkie, especially if you have a look at the bin, is designed to carry heavy loads. So once you have a heavy load, and things are going to soften up for you.
Yeah.
In terms of the suspension.
Yes, yeah, of course. It's an easy ride though, that I can say.
Yeah.
And again, I come back to the price tag, because, I mean, you know, my bike standing there costs more than this.
No, true.
So if we put that into perspective, you know, it's a lot of, it's good value for money for this segment.
So what is this going to be used for? And
Can you use it every day?
Remember, nothing can please all the people all the time. So there's a very specific segment that this vehicle is targeting.
Well, it's like relationships, right? You have to take the best slice of all the pies and take that and use that as your baseline, because you're not going to get 100% pie.
No, for sure. So for me, this is a proper utility vehicle that is designed to be a workhorse, but that still provides a sense of comfort, a sense of drivability.
Continuity.
It's not a rock crawler 4x4 adventure bakkie. This is a workhorse, and the number one usage of it happens to be with the farmers at this stage. We've looked at the car interior-wise. We've taken it on the road for a test drive. What are your overall impressions?
You know, when you have very low expectations, you can't be disappointed. So for me, it's much better than I expected, but I wasn't expecting much. So that's my initial impressions. It's good value for money. It's got a lot of features. It's got good fuel economy. It's a hard ride from my side. And space there is, but it's applicable depending on the size of your audience.
Okay, so I agree with you in terms of I didn't have any expectations about the vehicle. But having said that, I think we've also got to be very clear about where this vehicle operates. What segment is it playing in? And I think for the segment that it's playing in, this vehicle's got a lot to offer compared to some of its
Agreed,
competitors.
100%, yes. And I'm just, for me, it's just from spoiled brat syndrome
Absolutely.
that I'm reviewing it.
Absolutely.
So you are far more conducive to the reality out there.
All right, so I'm in this market in terms of a bakkie, in terms of where I want to use it. So let's give our own individual ratings from 1 to 10 on the Mahindra.
Cool. I'll give it a 5 out of 10, because I know we've got other vehicles within this category that we're going to review. My score might change once we go to the website, but for now, it's a 50% for me.
All right. For me, the proof is in the pudding. I've been very pleasantly surprised with the detail that's gone into the design, and also the fact that this has developed quite a legendary status amongst its customers very, very quickly. And we are starting to find some repeat customers coming back on the Mahindra, and for that, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
Well done.
So there you have it. There's our review on the Mahindra S6. And until next week, we will see you on Let's Talk Automotive. Awesome. Thanks, guys. And thanks to BB Menlin Mahindra for letting us use their vehicle and their facility for a start.
Yeah. And let me tell you that I'm exactly where you are. That vehicle has grown on me.
Yep.
In my previous life, we had Mahindra dealerships as part of our group. And I've traveled long distance with those vehicles and absolutely impressed. And like I said, it growed on me.
And it grew on you, growed on you.
Yeah.
And it's got a fierce, loyal following.
Yes.
So, I mean, who's to argue with that?
Yeah. Okay, and like you said, or saw there, that was sponsored by King Price Insurance.
Absolutely, and we would encourage the viewers, please, to go to the SMS line 31452 and have a look at what sort of quotes you can get. And this is our personal number for our viewers out there, so please be sure to SMS 31452.
All right. What I wanted to say is that everybody that's watching right now, please do me a favor. Go to the bottom, I think it's the bottom right-hand corner, and please hit the share button while we're talking right now. Just go and share that button there quickly, and then I can carry on. Tanya, ek het gesien, jy het nog nie die knoppie gedruk nie. Druk net gou vir my die knoppie. Daar's hy. Mooi.
Fantastic.
All right. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next segment, and this is our guests of the week. And how absolutely privileged are we to have Brendon, Carpenter, and Megan MacDonald from Suzuki Auto South Africa joining us. Welcome, guys.
Hey guys. Thank you. And well, it's our privilege too.
So these guys are sitting busy working at the moment. They're still busy with the strategy session. They took some time off to join us, and we really appreciate that. And the reason for us talking to them tonight is that the hottest and the biggest and the Brezza news,
the bigger
Brezza news this week was the launch of the new Suzuki Vitara Brezza. So I think let's get straight into that, Pete.
Yeah. So Brendon and Megan, another Vitara, or certainly Fanie, another Vitara badged vehicle, the Brezza. What's the significance of the Vitara naming?
So I'm going to jump in here, Brendon and Megan, because I know that we've got a very special video, and Megan will then answer this question in this video, and when we get back after this short little video, yeah, I'm watching you, then we'll get straight into some of the questions. Here we go.
Way back in 1988, when big hair was a thing and shoulder pads were a must, the movie industry was developing an icon of a movie which would last until today. I'm speaking, of course, of Die Hard, which is obviously a Christmas favorite. At the same time, Suzuki Motor Corporation in Japan, our mothership, was developing an icon of its very own, the Suzuki Vitara. This little Die Hard right here has done over 300,000 kilometers. And it's still driving like a champ. Yippee-ki-yay, man! For 33 years, the Vitara name has been part of households across the world. Suzuki, way ahead of its time, pioneered what is now known as the compact SUV. We may not have known back in 1988 how important this segment was destined to be, but we certainly knew what the market needed. It's no secret that the Suzuki Vitara is a legend off-road. With its compact dimensions of less than 4 meters in length, with its great off-road features, it was certainly no urban cruiser. And despite the remarkable 4x4 ability, the modern suspension setup meant that you and your family could drive for long distances in comfort. We also introduced power steering across the range, which made for even a more relaxing drive. Although everyone wanted one, SUVs were big, heavy, difficult to park, cumbersome to drive, expensive to run, and gas guzzlers of note. The Suzuki recipe of compact dimensions and fuel-efficient engines combined with comfort laid the foundation for more families to get in on that SUV action.
Well, okay, so that certainly answers that for me, Megan. But guys, the new Brezza was launched virtually last week. We've been fortunate between Fanie and myself to have a little bit of exposure to the vehicle already when we did some filming for you guys on that. But I wanted to get it from the horse's mouth, from the two of you. What is it that is going to be special about the Brezza in your view?
So this is a big one. We need to be referring to it as the Vitara Brezza. It's part of the Vitara range. And Vitara name, it's got the heritage, as I said in the video. And it's the Vitara. Vitara was sold here before, way back before Suzuki Auto itself was in the country. So it has special memories for a lot of people. So we need to be using the name Vitara in the new Brezza.
I think also it helps us really into that heritage of the model, where something that sets it apart from like other compact SUVs is that they haven't been around for a very long time. But the Vitara name has cemented itself as a pioneer in that compact SUV segment. So as a starting point, we'll always talk about differentiating features like LED headlights and things like that. But from the word go is we want to tie in back to that Vitara heritage as a compact SUV. And this being our smallest compact SUV that we have, barring the Ignis, which obviously is also a compact SUV, the Vitara name has been cemented for over three decades. And that's something we really find special in this model itself.
Yep.
So getting back to the Vitara Brezza, guys, obviously in your current model lineup, you had this gap that you needed to fill between the Ignis and the current Vitara. So obviously you guys still saw this as a pretty big opportunity to bring in this new model and to ramp up the numbers.
For sure. There was a gap, and it was a gap that existed for quite a long time in that segment. And there's a lot of competitors into that market, and the compact SUV has expanded beyond one specific set of competitors or sets of vehicles in that category. So there's smaller compact SUVs, there's ultra SUVs, and in between that price range of the Ignis that ends at 240,000 and the Vitara range starting at 310, there's a price gap there between 240 and 310,000 where the Vitara Brezza really fits in perfectly, and it almost completes the Suzuki SUV lineup in that regard. And that is great because it means we are attracting customers that did not have that option in the Suzuki range. And for us, it gives us an opportunity to get more people a compact SUV because of this value for money offering.
And if it wasn't clear from the way BC Sun has now explained it all, is the Vitara isn't going anywhere.
Yes.
It's still very much part of our range. So the Vitara Brezza doesn't replace the Vitara.
It's a very important note to make. Guys, something that we noticed, and maybe when it comes to product planning, this is a relevant question. But when we looked at the two different variants that we saw, the GL and the GLX, I was completely astounded by the specification level of even the entry level model. It's basically got all the bells and whistles that I almost didn't expect for an entry-level model. The GLX just takes it to the next level with a couple of features that you'd miss. But tell me about that specification and how you guys do the product planning when it comes to speccing the vehicle.
Well, this car in itself is like when you go into a compact SUV, you pay a premium for that, and that has always been so. People are maybe upgrading from a compact hatchback into a compact SUV. So, and if we look at the list of features that people aspire to in a compact hatchback, things like a touchscreen, like auto climate control, we don't want to take that opportunity away, and we give you the opportunity to have a touchscreen and automatic climate control, for example, expect in an entry-level model. But bearing in mind that people might be upgrading from a compact hatchback that has that features, we don't want to feel it at all like a compromise by choosing the entry-level spec. It also means that we get customers that are buying down. So we want to know that that GLX model has everything and more that you expect to differentiate the two between the other. But all the common features you would expect a vehicle of, let's say, just over 240,000 Rand to have, it ticks that boxes and then some, even in the entry-level range. And that for us is very important. Everyone wants touchscreen, and to have automatic climate control together with the other things like electric windows, power steering, which is a given these days. It really adds to the value offering of the entry-level model in that range.
For sure. I mean, you know, I just look at, I've got 2 teenage daughters, and I can guarantee you that the first thing they look at is what is the sort of the functionality in terms of sound and infotainment and that type of thing. So well done to you guys for getting that. Megan and Brendon, I've got a
yeah, the multifunction steering wheel and all the bells that goes with that. Yeah.
So I've got a question for the two of you, a little bit away from the topic of the Vitara Brezza. We've seen over the years a lot of model introduction for Suzuki, and we've also been saying this for many years in a row, that Suzuki is a brand on the move, and it just seems to be the brand that keeps on giving, because you guys are continuously bringing out fantastic product. So I wanted to ask the two of you, what is it like from a personal point of view to be part of a brand like Suzuki at the moment?
I think Megan's son has a little bit more experience in that field. How long have you been with Suzuki now?
12 years.
12 years. I'm just over 7. And I think what's great with it is we have been growing with the brand, and that is something you can't get every day. So it's a all-time commitment from us. You know what? We are privileged to be part of this brand, and we want to make a success of it, because we've been with this such a long time, and we've invested a lot of time and money, and luckily we are getting the rewards out of it. But Peter, you made a big you noted a very important point, is the product itself. We've been putting out a lot, and if it wasn't for the product that is so exceptionally and represents that value that the Suzuki brand is, we're very fortunate, and we don't second take it for granted. Especially with strategy sessions like this, we want to keep pushing the envelope and see what we can improve on.
I know Fanie wants to ask you something or say something to you, but I just wanted to say that, and I think we've mentioned this before, that obviously a lot of our friends and colleagues ask us what is the go-to vehicle to purchase. And I've got to tell you that without failure, we say to them, you've got to go and have a look at a Suzuki. And when they purchase it, we know they're never going to come back to us and complain about a purchase. So yeah, it's fantastic. The reliability is there, the product is amazing, the model variety is incredible. So yeah.
Okay, guys, we're coming to the end of our sort of interview with regards to the questions, but we're gonna have some fun just now. But Megan, I've got a question for you. You guys mentioned that there's a competition. So I'd like to sort of find out, somebody can win a Vitara Brezza for a year. So can you give us a bit more information about that, please?
They can indeed. The idea is for people to go and have a look at the launch video, and all 3 of them, including the one with my big hair, and then answer a few questions. There's simply 7 questions to answer. You'll find the link on the Suzuki Auto page, so www.suzukiauto.co.za. The link is there. Click through, answer the questions, and then some lucky person will have a Vitara Brezza for an entire year. And incidentally, insurance is actually covered in that.
That's awesome.
You'll have to pay for fuel, but insurance is covered. So it's not the gift that keeps on taking. It's a good one.
But I mean, listen, most people offer you a test drive for a month at best. Yeah. For a year, I think that's a fantastic prize. It's a
fantastic prize. And we'll definitely make sure to also share the link on our Facebook page, so that the viewers can enter that competition, and hopefully we can actually get one of our viewers to win that car. That'll be flipping awesome. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us and introducing us to this new model. But you know that we're not done with you yet, because it's game time. All right, guys. So game time works like this. Megan, you haven't been through this before, but Brendon, I think wiped your bum the last time he was in the show.
Put it mildly.
I think it was probably a 6-0 at that stage. So I'm looking forward to this immensely. This is how it works, guys. I think you guys need to shout Suzuki. If you know the answer, then I'll come to you. Peter, you can shout your name. We're gonna show you a partial of a car, guys, and you guys at home can also play along. We're gonna show you a partial of a car. If you know the answer, please shout your name, or Suzuki or Peter, and I'll come to you. You give me the answer. The best out of 7 wins tonight's prize. Are you guys happy with that?
What's the prize?
The prize is made up. The rules are made up, and the points don't matter. Damn it! All right, guys. So let's go. Here comes the first one.
It's an LJ thing.
14. Suzuki.
Yes. Talk to me, guys. What is that?
It's an LJ10.
Absolutely correct.
There we go.
I can hear them team up against you, Pete. I think you're in trouble. But
Jeez,
okay,
to say the
so 1-0 to Team Suzuki, and here comes the second one.
It's a green one. It's the Hulk's vehicle.
Have you guys got a clue?
It's
Yes, Brendon, you can go.
Yeah, from Suzuki's side, it might be an LJ50.
Yes, my bit. Somebody questioned me today, Brendon, and said that they wonder if you're going to be able to get all of these. So, and I put my head on the block and said you will definitely be able to get all of these. So it's 2-0 to Team Suzuki in the game where Peter is doomed to lose. And here comes the third one. Come on, guys. You guys at home, you can play along. Here comes the third one. Oh, that's difficult, Fritz.
Ooh.
Suzuki.
Yes, Team Suzuki, what is that?
SJ410.
Absolutely correct. I didn't expect anything less from you, Team Suzuki.
Yes,
you guys are doing so well.
What is it with all these acronyms? When did you people start naming cars after actual names? Yeah, I mean, how can you sit with only that? That's unfair. I think there's insider trading going on here.
The viewers at home, also getting this right. Marius Lange is playing along. Bianca is playing along. Hein is watching with us. Guys, if you know the answer, you can just comment below. All right, so what is that? That is 3-0.
3-0.
Going into the fourth one. Here it comes, guys.
Peter.
Peter, that was quick. What is that?
That is a Vitara.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yay! I knew that one.
That was the one that Megan was driving. Is that correct, Meg? That's the first generation.
Yeah.
But yes.
Uh-uh.
Was it not? Was that the 4-door?
Yeah, first generation. But the first ones that came out was.
Okay, so Peter actually got a point, so that means we might be in for a cold spell tomorrow morning. We can move on to the next one, guys.
Peter.
Oh, my car. Suzuki.
I think I was there first.
I'm going to come to Peter first.
That is the SX4.
Yes, Peter, well done. Well done. So it's 3-2 to Team Suzuki at the moment with 2 to go, guys.
See, at least I know the later models.
Please, Team Suzuki, I want you on your best behavior. This next one is very easy, guys. So please, you can shout Suzuki as soon as I put on the picture. Okay. Here you go.
Peter!
Suzuki.
Peter, there's a delay, bro. There's a delay. It was definitely Team Suzuki first. What was that, Team Suzuki?
It's nothing other than the Jimny.
Absolutely correct. 4-2 to Team Suzuki. Okay, guys, and the last one I had to make very, very easy. It's very topical at the moment. So here comes the last one.
Peter.
Suzuki.
It was. You know what, guys? I'm gonna go to Peter, even though there was a bit of a delay. Peter, what is that?
Come on, it's topical. That is the Brezza.
That is the Vitara Brezza.
The
Peter
Vitara,
Fanie.
damn it! I lose.
Yes.
The Vitara
Yeah,
Brezza.
I'm going to deduct the point because he never said Vitara Brezza. I'm going to give it to Team Suzuki. So that is 5-2. Well done, guys. Thank you very much for playing.
We get to keep our job, so that's,
Yeah, absolutely. Megan MacDonald, Brendon Carpenter, thank you so much for joining us. Do you guys have any final thoughts or comments for the viewers at home?
Thank you for the support. We literally today announced the fact that, and this is the first media channel we're actually mentioning it, is the fact that we break the 100,000 customer database for Suzuki. So we have 1,000 happy customers since our initial launch in the country in 2008. And that for us has been a massive achievement, one that we could not have done without 100,000 loyal customers on our side. So just thank you so much for that. And it's been a privilege, and we look forward to the next 100,000.
Well, congratulations, and I've got to say, well deserved.
Absolutely agree.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
guys, and
Thank
good
you.
luck with your strategy meeting, and hopefully a lot of good plans come from there.
For sure. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
guys.
Thanks,
Cheers,
James.
guys.
Cheers,
Bye.
Megan.
Good
Cheers,
one.
Brendon.
Okay, Peter. That was like a.
So
good,
another Harding,
good-
eh?
Yeah, another Harding.
Another Harding. But
Another
what
Harding.
fantastic people. You can see why this brand does so well. I tell you what,
I agree.
everybody that we deal with in that organization is top notch.
Yes, agreed. Talking about Suzuki Auto South Africa, we are going to now find out how aerodynamics work on cars in this week's segment of How Things Work, and this is brought to you by Suzuki Auto South Africa.
Welcome to our latest segment on how things work, and in today's episode we are talking wings, spoilers, downforce and drag. In the world of aerodynamics there are two basic forces at play on a vehicle, drag and lift. We know that drag is the force that works against the motion of a car, while lift is the force that works on the car itself. Now lift is either positive and trying to pick up the vehicle, or negative and creating downforce. Air itself behaves exactly the same way as a fluid, and in fact is governed by the scientific laws of fluid dynamics. As a result, when we move an object through the air, especially at speed, we encounter the frictional forces that the air exacts on the surfaces, which causes drag. And drag is one of the most important issues designers consider, not only when profiling the shape of the car, but also in determining what size engines to use to overcome the frictional forces at high speed. This is because frictional forces increase with the velocity squared, or exponentially to put it in another way, and are also a function of the frontal area of the vehicle. This means that if we want to go faster, we have to do two things. We have to make our car as slippery as possible, that is, have a low drag coefficient, and we have to increase our engine power dramatically. To give you an example, a car that requires 30 kilowatts to travel at 80 kilometers an hour would now require 120 kilowatts to drive at 160 kilometers an hour. That's 4 times the power simply to double the speed. We've all heard the term drag coefficient, and the marketing people sure like to quote their car's drag coefficient figures. But how do we make sense of these figures to determine if they're good or bad? Well, factoring issues like surface roughness and speed, we can generally say that a brick-shaped object has a drag coefficient of 1, while a teardrop shape, which incidentally is the most aerodynamically efficient shape, has a coefficient of only 0.05. Most modern cars have a drag coefficient of between 0.25 and 0.35, with SUVs being a little higher because they obviously have a larger frontal surface area. Now, talking of front-facing surface areas, this is calculated by summing all the surfaces viewed from the front, which means that a Formula 1 car, in fact, has a drag coefficient of between 0.7 and 1, which is the same as a bus. In fact, a Formula 1 car develops so much drag that just by lifting off the throttle at over 200 kilometers an hour creates over 1 G of slowing down force, which is the same as if we slammed on our brakes in a road car. This brings us to our next topic of downforce. The faster the car goes, the more the airflow tries to lift it up due to its shape. Also, if we want to have more grip in the corners, we need to create downforce. What creates downforce, or lift for that matter, is a difference in pressure between the top and the bottom of the car, which is eloquently described by Bernoulli's equation. In basic terms, a fast-moving fluid or air has less pressure than a slow-moving fluid. So, a front or rear wing on a car produces downforce because the airflow moves more quickly across the bottom of the wing than it does over the top. This is achieved by making the wing an aerofoil shape, which forces the airflow to either follow a shorter or a longer path over the shape, which then creates the pressure differential because the airflow traveling the longer distance must speed up. So what about a spoiler? Well, as you guess, a spoiler is not a wing and has a very different aerodynamic function. In fact, a spoiler does exactly what the name suggests. It spoils or obstructs the airflow at a localized position of the car. And the reason why we want to do this is due to the airflow that typically occurs over and under a traditionally shaped car, which has some likeness to a wing. The airflow over the car has to travel faster than under the car, and as a result, a low pressure zone is created, particularly at the rear, which then tries to lift up the car. The spoiler slows down the airflow at this point, which negates the low pressure effect and in turn zeroes the lifting force. And it also aids the stability of the car at high speed. So wings and spoilers are just two aerodynamic aids that assist us with the downforce and drag we experience. But there are so many other aerodynamic aids to discuss, such as splitters, air dams, canards, undertrays, side skirts, vortex generators, and diffusers. Now, we don't have time in this segment to discuss them, but the good news is that this means you have so much to look forward to in future episodes. So thanks for watching our introduction into aerodynamics, and we look forward to sharing more topics with you on how things work.
Thank you very much, Professor Peter Fanie. That was very interesting, and I'm looking forward to doing the rest of that, the rest of the shoots on that topic.
Oh, I've got to say, when I was studying engineering, aerodynamics was the favorite part for me, and I can't wait to bring you some more.
Yeah. So I think the director just said in my ear that we must look at your first episode on how things work again. Is that correct, Fritz? Oh, the first time we had him on the show. Oh, yes. I'm thinking back to that first time that Peter was on the show. Do you have something to show us? Oh, okay. I hear what he's saying. So I think what I'll do is I'll prepare something for you next week, a nice little special.
Oh, okay.
How's
cool.
about that? The first time that you appeared on the show, before you were this clever. All right, guys. So that brings us to the last segment of tonight's show, and definitely one of our favorites. And this is Tappet of the Week. All right. So in that middle back car, there's a lady inside that car, Peter.
What is going to happen
What
here?
could
They're
possibly
in a
go
dealership.
wrong?
I mean,
in the dealership, Hyundai dealership. I'm not sure where exactly this is, but the lady's sitting in that car.
taking delivery by the looks
Yes,
of things.
there she goes.
Oh, look at that sales exec. Oh, look at them. Oh, man,
yes.
I love. Oh, the trifecta.
Yes,
Huh? The window, her
the
car,
window.
and another car.
So this is not too far. I've seen a video very similar to this that happened right here in Hatfield, Pretoria.
Victoria, yes,
Yeah.
I've seen that as well. Oof, but that looks nasty.
Just look at that. Nothing's going to turn that around. Listen, and that's the Tappet of the Week.
And remember, if you can tell us who these people are, we're dying to send them our prizes.
A Tappet cover.
A Tappet cover.
All right, guys, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you very much for joining us. Next week, we've got a couple of... I'm looking forward to this review. The Peugeot 2008.
I've got to tell you, if it is any way close to being as good as the 3008 and the 508, then this is going to be a winner.
And that might surprise people watching that we're excited about a Peugeot.
Listen, their cars are fantastic.
And just watch, just wait and watch. You'll see what we mean.
Okay.
And we've got the guys from Rev Tire Tech,
Tire
Tech Pretoria East joining us next week, and they've got a new product on the market. that's basically just launching that prevents punctures. So I'm looking forward to look at that product as well.
Excellent. Very relevant in our conditions on our roads.
Correct. Right, guys, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back here, same time, same place next week. Have a good one.
Take it easy.